I've had quite a bit of practice with breathwork since I did the retreat back in January. So it's coming up on a year since I did that holotropic breathwork retreat in Joshua Tree, California, in the desert. And ever since then, and even prior to that, I've been practicing breathwork daily. And it has almost become a natural part of my day, and I don't even notice that I'm doing it. And it's not something special. It's not like, I know some people portray the breathwork thing to be similar to like a DMT experience or a natural high, or some substitute for like psychedelics. And it's not that. It's just a tool to give you access to kind of like the dream state realm, or I guess maybe you could call it astral planes, the etheric realm, just that which isn't physical. So in waking life here in the realm, you have the physical as the main mode of consciousness. That's where your awareness primarily resides, is in the five senses, and that's where it is. So when you're doing breath work, you're kind of regaining access to that other realm, the dream space. And I've never fully gone under, so to speak. To the point that I see other people when they're doing breath work. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. But when I'm going deeper, when I'm meditating and practicing breath work, the first thing that happens, especially if I haven't done like a formal session for a while, like I actually did just now, the first thing that happens is I start getting these tingles. It's in various parts of the body. Sometimes it's in my head, sometimes it's in the legs, the hands. The hands had it when I first started doing it. My hands got tetany bad. Tetany is when a particular limb or part of your body kind of loses circulation and freezes a bit. Like my hands actually got ice cold during this holotropic breathwork session. This was the actual one in Joshua Tree where I had a sitter, and so my hands got real cold, and they did like this kind of thing, and I had my eyes closed, so I didn't know that was happening, and actually I couldn't even feel my hands anymore, so I didn't even know. And I was pretty deep in the state at that point, but and my eyes closed, we have something over the eyes, and there's music going on and everything. But somebody came up, one of the leaders came up and very like gently said that my hands, looked like, they said it in a way that wouldn't frighten me, because when you're in that state, especially if you haven't sort of gotten past most of the fears and insecurities, everything that comes up during breath work will be magnified and exaggerated by your mind, right? And so that's kind of what mine did, and I was kind of afraid that my hands were like very contorted, or even in the very gentle way that she told me, your hands look like, she asked me permission if they could work on my hands, and I said yes. And so there was one person on my left and one person on my right. I kept my eyes closed, and so my hands, they were all tetany, frozen up. I couldn't feel them. I could feel my arms, but each one of them grabbed one of my hands and like held it, like you're holding hands with somebody, like a girlfriend or boyfriend, like fingers interlocked. I think. Maybe not. Maybe they didn't do that. I don't know exactly how they held my hands, but I think it was like palms together, so like they had their palms on the outsides, and both sides, like I started feeling like I wanted to move my hands in like a circular motion, like just circular motion over my chest, kind of like this, like I was doing this with my hands. And so they were helping, they were basically reading my output to my arms, and they were kind of following it. They were allowing me to guide the motion, but they were holding onto the hands, and they were helping bring warmth back into them. And since I didn't really have a lot of feeling in my hands, and since I was also pretty deep in this meditative state, and it's hard to describe what it is, but it's like a dream state. You're still aware of the body, but it's just a different perception. So I could feel from my hands the layers, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but like your hands, like there's physical layer, then there's like energetic layer. There's layers to this whole, you know, the physical body is the outermost layer of whatever, the whole thing, right? So I could feel layers, and I could feel sort of like we were working through stuff with my hands. I don't know exactly how or what we were doing, but we were kind of like making some pattern, doing some sort of healing thing. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was necessary. Whatever it was, I needed to do it, and they helped. And it was like this intricate kind of dance thing with the hands, and I moved through a lot of fear stuff that was residing in my hands, I guess. I guess I had fear about my hands contorting or being hurt or something. I was worried about them. So we did this very intricate sort of hand motions, and I was just like letting the motion come as it felt like it needed to, and they were doing it. They were following my lead, like I said. And this, to me, it felt like we did this for like 2 or 3 minutes. And when we got done with the session, this was like 3 hours long session. After we were all done with the breathwork session, later in the day we would come back. We would draw like a mandala picture. It's like a circle, and you just draw what you feel happened during the experience. And so after we did that, after we drew the pictures, we came back to the room, and we talked about what happened. And so I found out who had been holding my hands. It turned out to be a girl and one of the guys, one of the two workers, 2 staff there. Staff have to have done the breath work for a certain amount of years, and they have to put in hours and stuff. So, but they told me they had been doing this motion with my hands, like holding my hands, for like an hour. And I had no idea what. I thought it was 5 minutes, or I thought it was 10 minutes. And they said it was very beautiful, whatever it was that we were doing together. They didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't know exactly what it was, but the guy, or the woman, the leader, told me that the guy who had been on my side, because I was crying during it, like I was not like boo-hoo bawling, but I was like having tears, because I felt like because I trusted them to help me work through whatever it was that I was working through. And they were very moved by how my hands were moving, because they felt that whole energy coming through them as well. And they were crying too, apparently. I didn't know about it, but until after, and they told me. So it's crazy. Like the breathwork stuff is, especially if you've been hurt, like if you've had trauma, like we all have, bodily trauma or emotional trauma, all these things that stay in the body. Breathwork helps to bring those to the light, and there are people there who understand it, and they help you resolve and release those during the breathwork sessions. That's what I was doing with the hand stuff. And the idea is called an inner healer. They say, when you're going under, so to speak, and someone's sitting for you, The idea is to let go of all your expectations. Don't intend for this and that. Don't like ask for things. Don't ask for riches or that's. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but the accepted method of operation is you just give it to, whatever. Give it to the spirit or the universe or God or whatever, and you just basically say, I'm open and I'm ready to receive whatever healing can happen here. And they call it the inner healer, and it's not something that you're consciously doing, but you're just accepting that whatever needs to happen will happen. And everybody has a different experience. Some people will be yelling, some people will be dancing, some people look like they're swimming through an ocean, people are doing all kinds of motions. Some people will just be screaming and crying for 10 or 15 minutes. And the sitters, they let people stand up on the mats and kind of move around a little bit, and they kind of, keep them safe. But people are allowed to sort of express themselves in whatever way they feel like they need to while they're in that state. And when you're done with it, it's like, if you've never done it before, you have to try it to know, because it touches parts of you didn't know existed. It brings to light things that have been hiding in your body, either 10,000 pieces, fragmented pieces of yourself that have been lost for a long time. They come back, and it's part of a return to wholeness. That's the idea behind the breath work. It's healing. It's not anything else besides that. It's not supposed to be for fun or for relaxation or for like going on a drug trip. I mean, you could do it for those things if you wanted to, but as far as I understand and what I get out of it is it's for healing, because most of us here in this place are traumatized, and to return to wholeness we have to look at all of the aspects of ourselves that have been hurt and reclaim fragments, and breathwork is a really good way to do that. Also, something I was thinking about was that I feel like our body is kind of like those Russian nesting dolls they talk about, like it's layers. So to me, this is just my little thing I came up with, but it's like the body, the physical body is the outside layer, and then underneath that you have the energetic layer, which is also comprised of emotions. So any energies that you can feel running through your body, emotions and like tingles and all that. And then there's the mental body that's underneath that one. That's like thought form. And thought form is not just in the head, like it's, I don't know how to say it, but like this attention awareness that you have in you can be anywhere. Like you can shoot it to your toe, or you can put it out on the street. Like you can move that, you can draw pictures in your mind, like it's mind, like it's the mental layer. That's the third layer. It's much more subtle than the emotional layer and the physical layer. And then there's underneath mind is spirit, which is even less tangible than mind. And it's like, that goes back to what Og was talking about. Spirit is like infinite. It's there's no time to it. It knows everything. There's no limitation, no judgment, no nothing. It's just pure, like perfect awareness, instant. And that's like the fourth layer. And then the fifth layer would be the unmanifest, or your God, sort of the pregnant potential quantum field that underlies everything. That would be sort of a fifth layer. And then you could say even a sixth layer would be like beyond all. Like even this God thought, that's still a thought. If you were to say there would be a sixth layer, it would be like pure silence or something, like no motion, no nothing. There's no more, mind can't touch it. And these are the layers that if you've been away from them for a long time, you're able to access through holotropic breathwork. And just like Reiki, like when I do Reiki with Eden, I felt things in my body I never felt in my life. I'm 32. And that's just the energy body that most of us haven't felt in a long time because of all the poisons we're putting in it. So with the way that we've been doing things here in society, we've poisoned our bodies with everything, with the food, with the habits, with the things we put into our mind via the TV and the internet and all this. Just general practice is to dumb down and make unhealthy and ignorant and sad, and pain. So it keeps us in the gross level, the physical only, and just limits us to the max. In breathwork, it's not anything magical, it's just helping you regain access to the other layers of yourself, the other levels. It's all you. I mean, it's you. Just what your level of focus is at, or what your level of limitation, more accurately, is at. So that's a little more thoughts on breathwork. It's great. I can't say enough about it. I do breathwork every day. And when I say I do breathwork, I just mean like it's deeper breathing. That's all it is. It's deeper breathing. I don't know exactly why it has that effect. More oxygen to the brain, something. But breathwork has the capacity for letting you see all the levels of existence, right? And whereas normally you're at one level, you're at the outermost physical level. So breathwork gives you access. It's like a key. So I'm gonna give you in the comments, no, sorry, in the description box, I'm gonna give a link to what I use sometimes. It's like binaural beats, meditation music. So you can try that one if you want. My only advice, if you're trying holotropic breathwork, just be advised that when I say sitters, it's important if you don't know what you're doing, or like if you're kind of flighty, like if you don't have that sort of space, that internal stillness that you can access yet. If you're not there yet, then have a sitter. Like, don't just try this on your own, because it's gonna freak you out. So just like if you're taking mushrooms or something, treat it like that. Treat it like a drug trip. And like you would any drug trip, you know, have pure intentions going into it. And if you want to learn something, then just say, help me to be open and not put my expectations on here. Help me to learn what I need to learn. Something like that. Have a sitter if you want to try it. If you're brave, you know, you can try it by yourself. If you are going to try it by yourself, I would say your breathing, your actual breathing is it's the dial. So the heavier and the faster you breathe, the deeper you go, the faster you go. So if you start getting to a point where you're like, okay, this is too much, I want to tone it down a bit, just stop breathing so hard, you know, start breathing normally, and you'll return back to a certain level. And you can kind of increase the rate of breathing and decrease, and it will affect your level that you're going to. So yeah, so holotropic breathwork is good. Oh, also, my friend Penny, that was my sitter at the breathwork retreat, she finished her book a few months ago. She wrote a book. She got it published. It's on Amazon. She sent me a physical copy in the mail, and I have it now, and she gave me permission to read it to you guys. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm probably just going to read it straight, just like I'm doing Stephen's book. I'm going to just read it. I'm not going to read it first and then reread it. So I'll be experiencing it while you are. And that should be fun. Yeah, her name's Penelope. She's a PhD. She's a Jungian analyst. She's been seeing people, you know, helping people in her career for her whole life, and she's awesome. She's like she's 70 or something. She's still going strong though, so that should be fun. I gotta get back to work. I've got drunk people to ferry, so yeah, try breathwork. Have a sitter. If you can't have a sitter, then just remember that your rate of breathing determines where you're at, and if you're too deep, just don't breathe so hard for a bit, okay? I don't know why I'm talking so fast. Probably because I have to go. But anyway, peace. Happy New Year.